Welcome back to Zenith Lifestyle. We're just going to talk about a few issues facing the world at the moment. So milk, as you can see, I've got a few graphs up there and articles leading into the declining sales of milk and the increasing sales of plant-based milks. So even though you might think from all the advertisements that dairy milk's good for you and it's all the norm, it's actually been on a 40-year decline. And then if we're looking at beef, beef is the same. Around the world it is having a decline in the consumption of beef, but unfortunately there's an incline in the consumption of chickens, which is no better for you. A few graphs there just showing the cost per gram of protein of beefs compared to plant-based foods, and a few graphs showing the decline of beef but the incline of chicken. And from the Cancer Council in Australia, so more than 700 grams of red meat a week increases your risk of bowel cancer, or 50 grams of processed meat is a 1.18 times increase of bowel cancer. Incidentally, 1.18 times doesn't sound much, but it's actually 18%. It's just the way they word it for you. Here we have the meat industry in Australia telling you how much meat you should eat. Notice that they call it protein. A food group is not protein. A food comprises of carbohydrates, fats and protein, but we've got this thing now, we just call it protein. And you can see that the average is 57 grams per person. And then we're just looking at Barnaby Joyce here with some quite bizarre statements. So this was his reaction to the World Health Organization's classifications on processed meat and red meat as carcinogenic, and he's basically telling you if we were going to take their advice we would be going back into the cave. So that's great advice from a minister, isn't it? Top 20 causes of death, so you can see bowel cancer is number 5. Leading causes of death in Australia listed out there, and you can see the meat consumption per country with Australia leading the pack. Hong Kong's right up on top of everyone though. Our favourite meats, so red beef's going down, chicken's going up. An appetite for meat is actually becoming more chicken based. So as in America, Australia is going away from red beef and more to chicken. So currently we're producing and killing 600 million chickens a year. Just get that around yourself, 600 million a year. And back to our favourite Barnaby Joyce. So we can see there we've got 24 experts from 20 countries working for the WHO to come up with their conclusions on processed meat and red meat, but apparently Barnaby knows more about it and says we just would be going back to the cave if we were going to listen to them. So I'm not sure who you'd rather take your advice from, a Minister for Agriculture promoting beef, or from the World Health Organization that's looked at over 800 studies with 20 scientists from around the world. I think I'll be taking mine from the scientists rather than a minister that's getting paid to promote a product. And we can see here with the council recommendations of what you should eat. I find it very strange that they would promote eating beef when it's being classified as a possible carcinogen and processed meat as a known carcinogen, because they clearly don't recommend you to smoke cigarettes. So it's incredibly hypocritical to be a cancer counsellor giving recommendations on what to eat and knowing that cigarettes are carcinogenic and not recommending, and in fact telling you not to smoke them, and knowing that meat is carcinogenic but still giving recommendations on eating them. That's just quite incredible, but people will just believe this and not understand it. And here's Barnaby saying that to compare sausages as lethal as cigarettes is ridiculous and it's a farce. But then if we realise that both of them are carcinogenic, as proven by 20 scientists looking at over 800 studies, and he wants to go on record as saying that it's a farce. If we realise that smoking cigarettes raises your cholesterol, raising cholesterol increases risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer, which is the same as a processed food. Maybe Barnaby needs to do some research. So what should we do? Should we listen to Barnaby and just live in a cave because everything's going to kill us? Clearly that's not the option. We can definitely take steps, say, to reduce what affects us, and the biggest steps we can take in reducing what affects our life is what we put in our mouth 3 times a day. And clearly by cutting out eating processed meat and red meats, you can reduce those risks of cardiovascular disease, strokes, cancer, type 2 diabetes drastically. No need to live in a cave, just live more sensibly. Take notice of what the World Health Organization has clearly stated for us. There's been a lot of time and research put into this to improve our lives, and we can do that quite easily by eating a whole food plant-based diet. But you can still live in a cave if you want to, eating that whole food plant-based diet. So don't forget, if you don't look after your health now, it won't look after you later.